What's up? It's Jade Novah, and right now y'all are checking out my boy David Duane.
That warms my entire heart. The fact that you were like, okay, how can we make this happen? I got this project coming out that's called Where I've Been, Where
Where
Have
have I
I Been.
been?
I love the title. And I was like, I knew you was dropping something on us soon. Because these singles were back to back, Butterfly,
Yes.
Affirming.
Like that?
Somebody to affirm me. I'm getting too old to not be affirmed out here.
Come on.
I'm just saying.
Well, no, of course. I mean, you out here doing your thing. I was like, dang, he out here talking to everybody. I'm like, I want to talk to him about the project. I want to see what's going on over here.
Yes.
I know. So
And
I'm happy to connect with you again, though. I
the first
appreciate
time we chat, it was during the pandemic and the early part of the pandemic. Girl, I think we still in the pandemic, but them folks around don't
it.
believe
Well,
so.
I guess it depends on what you mean by that.
I mean, is shit still the same?
It's a weird world. We're definitely living in a weird time right now.
Yeah,
It's weird. I will leave it at that.
it definitely is. How has the creative process been since the last time we talked? Because that definitely was 2020.
Yeah, it was like right in
Wow.
the thick of it. And we had just I had just oh my God. I had just dropped Stages, my sophomore project. And I think we talked about this then, but like I was supposed to do my Stages tour and then everything
Yeah.
just started falling apart. Like literally days before we were supposed to leave, the shutdown happened and then just the world changed and you know. So I guess you're saying how is my creative process differently now since
Yeah,
then?
since then, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it's pretty much the same, I'd say. I mean, because as an independent artist, we're constantly having to pivot and just kind of like move and make changes and be resourceful. And that's exactly what I had to do at that time. And I feel like that's always the process, is just being focused on creating something meaningful, falling in love with the process, and it's not always an easy thing to do. But that's the part of the creative process that I want to hold on to from that moment, something that I learned then, about like we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Everybody's journey, I mean, at that it was an equalizer for everyone, right? Because we were all kind of in that same boat of like needing to figure out how to pivot.
Right.
So yeah, just holding on to that part of the creative process for me, I'd say is exactly the same way I've approached everything since then, with just enjoying the process and understanding that tomorrow's not promised. We don't know. So
I
we
be
just we gotta be grounded in the now and just and falling in love with what we do.
And that's the biggest thing I try to tell people, like, just fall in love with what you do in today's now, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. I'll be having to tell people that and then some, but I feel like that's the most important thing. Like, just enjoy it. And I know with Stages, you really enjoyed even the creative process with the vignettes. I cannot forget the vignettes. I got to bring them back up because them vignettes, I don't think anybody has been able to top any vignettes since then. People been dropping stuff. I did my little 1, 2, 3s and everything else, but them vignettes, they still eat.
Thank you. And it's so funny that you said, I'm grateful that you say that. Thank you. But that's another product of us having to pivot because those were not ever the intention of what the visual was supposed to be.
Right.
And it's beautiful, it's so rewarding, and then it just makes you realize to kind of stop being so hard on yourself, because even when you have to pivot and things aren't what the original vision was that you had, that people can still enjoy it and not to take things so seriously. So thank you for that lesson. Thank you. I was like, oh my God, I don't know how this is gonna go over. This isn't all this thing, as creatives,
Right.
this big thing in our head of what we want everything to be, and so
And creatives always having just like this
yeah,
mind gotta be this big and elaborate thing. Cause we really are sensitive about our shit, but we want it to be perfect.
yeah, and I'm an advocate for, if well, at least for me, I might have a big grand idea in my head, but if I can't execute it the way I want to, then simplicity is the only way to go. I'd rather do something super simple than not be able to live up to, the vision that I have in my head. I will simplify something all day long for the sake of the integrity of it. So
Right. I be like, look, if I gotta simplify it as much as possible so that I don't lose my damn brain cells over here, then I'm gonna have to do it. If it ain't meant to be grand, it ain't gotta be grand. Sometimes grand costs too much money.
sometimes grand costs grands.
And we need all the grands.
Period.
So tell me about how we got to this project and just creating, because this one here, I love this one.
Ah,
I mean, it's so rare for me to not love an artist that I've connected with's music going on as they continue in their discography and career. But it's something about this project that just really just, I love the affirmation aspect and just how everything is just very forward. It's positive. It's a vibe. You're gonna always give us a vibe. That's
no.
two things for certain. One thing's for sure.
Thank you so much. I feel like this is, I know it's the third project, but I feel like this is truly the introduction into all that I'm trying to manifest as an artist. So like you said, it's called Where Have I Been? Make sure y'all stream it right now.
And
Available.
they gotta download it too. I need them to download then stream.
Download it, stream, and then listen to it from beginning to end. So if you cannot listen to it all the way through, or at least halfway through, stop it while you're driving and listen again. Don't skip through the first time. I just need all my music lovers and all my story lovers to just immerse themselves in the experience of hearing a full body of work, because it is intended to be listened to in one sitting. And then once whatever you gravitate to, put them things on your playlist, but at least one time, please take the time to sit down and put your screens down and just listen and immerse yourself into an experience. And that's really what I wanted to create with this project. Devin Johnson, my husband, I call him husband because he plays all the instruments in the world. But
So talented.
he's so incredibly talented. That man, y'all have no idea. I'll do a whole thing about him if we get some time, because
Oh, we got time.
he's incredible. But he executive produced the project, and so I wrote a script first. So, we're really big on storytelling. Devin and I, we've delved into the sketch comedy world, or just, creating little pieces of conscious content, whatever that looks like. But our intentions and our goals and what we're manifesting is television and animation and movies. Like, we have so many thoughts and ideas in our head that are just so much bigger than music, but then also can be fueled through the music that we make. So, like you said, with being patient, we talked about this off camera, just the patience of the journey. But yes, so I wrote a script and was just really intentional about wanting it to have this story from beginning to end. So the theme of this album is called Where Have I Been, because it's a love letter to myself. Like, where have I been all my life? I'm ultimately the one who's in charge of my life. I create my own life, despite what obstacles may come my way. And it's sort of an origin story of my love language, which is words of affirmation. I love to hear all the things that it fills me, it has throughout my life. And they say that your love languages are formed from what you didn't get as a child sometimes. And for me, I did not get affirmed by my father specifically. He didn't say, I love you. He wasn't. And I mean, I know that everyone has their different ways of expressing love, and that's not to knock him. Obviously, I had a conversation with my dad before I put this project out, because it is so centered around that dynamic. But for me as a kid, anyway, it impacted me, because I thought not hearing it, I thought not being told that I was pretty or any kind of affirming words from him, when I would hear them from other men or people in my life, all I would need to hear is I love you, or hear something very surface. And it felt like so much, because the man who meant the most to me couldn't even say it. So if you can say it, like, whoa, this really must be real. So it really shaped and formed how I navigated relationships moving forward, with that thing in the back of my mind that if you say it, it must be true. And, that power of words, and how people can manipulate you with those words. Like, as beautiful as words are to affirm, their words are a spell, and people can use them to your demise just as much as they can to affirm you. And so This album goes on this journey, sort of reflecting on one specific relationship where, you know, words of affirmation became sort of a catalyst for our connection, but then also our downfall. Because, like I mentioned, using words, and they can hit, they can hurt, they can heal, they can do all of those things. And so going on the journey of this story, ultimately realizing that I have the ability to use words to affirm myself. And that's sort of the whole arc of this story, is like reflecting on the past, how it affect my relationships, and how I can take back my power and affirm myself on this journey. So that's the where have I been all my life origin story.
Whoa. I like how you put that. So we got to unpack that
Let
right there, right? Let's
us
because that's what we do here. That's what we do.
let's down.
So not being affirmed by your father and everything else, because I feel like it's very important to be affirmed by our mother, our father, our grandparents, our uncles and aunts, our immediate family. That's what it means. Our brothers, our sisters, that's what it means the most. Obviously, of course, for you now being married and having a son, your husband, your son, those things are very key and important. So not being affirmed by your father, how did that affect you just going along in life? Because that can, not hearing those words can mean so much, because as women, when y'all are even looking for your partner, your soulmate, all the same thing, y'all who might be a little challenged and slow and like to separate the ones and the twos and the three, it's a one. How was that for you? Did you find it really challenging? Like, walk us through that journey if you can.
Yeah, I mean, the way, and I want to talk about, well, I'll get to that later. Let me answer your question, because I am such
No,
a
get to that.
I'm
It,
such a
it,
Gemini. No, I'm gonna answer your question, and then I'm gonna circle back on this. I won't forget.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, not hearing "I love you" and not feeling affirmed from him definitely it affected the way it affected the relationships that I brought into my life. Like I was saying earlier, you know, mainly because putting so much weight on hearing it and then not hearing it from the person that I thought I was supposed to hear it from, it made it feel so much deeper when men or anyone would give any sort of affirmation to me throughout my life. So yeah, it just gave me a skewed view of what love was actually supposed to be like. And in on the album, there's actually an interlude where I go back to my childhood and reflect on a moment where, you know, I was trying to tell my father I loved him. He didn't say it back. And then it fast forwards to me as a teenager, you know, asking him like, hey, do you like this dress? I'm getting ready. And, you know, he just kind of uses comedy as a defense mechanism, which is an underlying theme, not
yeah.
theme, but an underlying message in on the project that I didn't really like beat over the head, but I know where it stemmed from. And this is what I was going to mention. I have a really great cast of people on this album. So
Yeah.
I'm going to say that so that I can really, really delve into the nuances of it. But Wayne Brady, incredible actor, um, musician, comedian, he's a father as well. And it was just such an honor to have him as a part of this project and just to help tell these stories. Leslie Odom Jr., he plays my love interest. I know y'all know Leslie Hamilton. He's so incredibly talented. Gail Bean, she plays my best friend. Um, Tony Baker, he plays my boss. And then Tabitha Brown, she plays my therapist. So that just kind of helps you understand sort of the characters that are in this album. But yeah, Wayne also has a daughter. So some of the conversation in real life. So we were able to have really great conversations around the importance of having that affirmation from that first example of how you're to be treated, you know, by someone who loves you and someone who cares about you, and the importance of giving love all around. You know, you show
Right.
it, you say it, um, you know, and so not hearing it, it gave me a skewed version of my expectations, or my very low expectations of what love was to be, you know.
I feel that, because it,
Mm-hmm.
it can it can do that for a young woman, because it's like, okay, if I'm not hearing it from this person, it's like, how do I know for sure that you actually mean those words? How can I trust? So how did even with trust, right? How did you get to the place of allowing yourself to trust others in that space?
And I forgot why I had mentioned Wayne, and now it just came back to me. The reason why I wanted to mention the cast, and I'm sorry to deflect, but my Gemini brain. I
You
mentioned Wayne because he is a funny person, and because he did sort of remind me of my dad in that way of, being very quick-witted. And with my father, I definitely developed my sense of humor from him. But
yeah.
humor was his love language. And
Mm,
so, that whole get your big head, your goofy self. So those sorts of things, it affected, it gave me my sense of, you know, comedy and my sense of humor, but I sort of lost my sense of self in it because it just became a defense mechanism for me as well. And so yeah, I mentioned that to say that that's also sort of an underlying theme of the project as well, just sort of the defense mechanisms that we use when we get weird about expressing love. But
yeah.
yeah, to answer your question about trust though, I mean, it came from therapy. So Tabitha, Brown playing my therapist, she's like serves as like this little marker throughout the album, because ultimately I'm reflecting on all these things through the lens of our therapy sessions. And it really it came from experience and accountability, being able to recognize that at some point, I have to take accountability for how these triggers or things that I felt or patterns, how I have the power to create my own life and to grow from them and to release things that no longer serve me, becoming that metaphoric butterfly by shedding all of those things that I don't need in that next phase of my life. And there's only so long that you can point the finger at all these factors, our parents or this guy or that thing that didn't happen, before you realize, look, it's all a mindset. I create my own life. I can go into these new experiences understanding that I can do all of these foundational things for myself, and that everything else that comes into my life, romantic, professional, whatever, are just icing on the cake. And so the trust for me came when I learned how to trust myself and not need to depend so heavily on other people to fill this imaginary void.
Right.
So it's all inner child work. This project is really it's dedicated to my inner child for sure.
I love this project because it is a dedication to your inner child work. And not only that, I love it because I feel like I can relate to the project as well too. Just the aspect of, even when you just talk about it right now, just having to trust ourselves and going through those situations and just being like, you know what, I can either choose my happiness or I can just constantly dwell and live in the state of mind of, oh, this person broke my heart, or oh, my dad didn't love me. Is this what example of how men should treat women? Obviously, clearly it's not. It's like all those things that I can even reflect on. I just be like, you know what, David, don't keep pointing the finger at everybody else, because we can turn this whole thing around and this life can be beautiful. But if you keep dwelling and dwelling, be like, oh my gosh, is this going to happen again? If I try to go out on a date with this girl, or is this person going to break my heart? Am I going to be right and love me wrong part two? It's like,
Yeah.
take control and affirm yourself, love
Absolutely.
yourself, because I'll tell you, Jade, the biggest thing that I even realized in this time during these 3 years since the last time we talked was that I needed to take control over my life. So what I ended up doing was, and no one knows this, so this is the first time I'm saying this out loud. So I literally got rid of some clients. I started saying no more often and actually meaning it. And when people try to lowball me, because you know how the industry works. People be like, "Oh, we want to do business with you, but this is the rate that we can do." Unfortunately, that is no longer my problem. My rate is starting at ... You people know what it is that have reached out, and I know because I know my worth. So therefore, me knowing my worth, is a way of me affirming myself as well too, because we have to know that
Yeah.
as
Because
creators.
if you accept anything, then how can you be mad at other people for treating you the way you treat yourself? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, come on, Dave, I need you to tighten on up. People will
Yeah.
treat you that way because
Mhm.
you aren't firm in your word. See, we got to bring that firm. We take the up.
Impeccable with your word. Be impeccable with your word. Yes.
Yeah. And be
And that,
intentional with your heart.
you said what now?
Instead of even be intentional with your heart too. Because
Mm-hmm.
people know when you don't move with intent.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if not in the beginning, ultimately it'll come out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that same mindset though, I was just writing about something earlier, not necessarily in a romantic capacity, but I guess you're speaking on a business capacity too about
Yeah.
the importance of affirming yourself. But what we were talking about earlier, just like that mindset of, you know, going into the relationships and feeling like, oh, this person hurt me, whatever, whatever. That kind of thinking applies on our journeys as creatives as well. When you hold on to certain expectations or ideals of what success is supposed to look like, or what you're entitled to, or these flowers that you're waiting on receiving from external sources that are all man-made and created. And it's like, as an artist, like we have to hold on to a level of peace and a level of just falling in love, like really, truly, truly falling in love with the process. Because the mindset, I have seen it at so many different levels, right? Because I'm an independent artist, but there are thousands of people who would love to be in certain positions that I'm in. And then there are thousands of artists who are at other levels, higher levels that I would desire this certain thing of. And it's like every level that we're at on this journey, if you're doing it with passion, and you know, I've used me as an example, an artist,
Yeah.
you know, going through this journey, ultimately we're doing the exact same thing, just at different levels. Like, you know, you've been to an award show and you see the inner workings of how they go, and it's like a glorified high school talent show with just a bigger budget, you know. And it's like, okay, if I complain at every step of the way that I'm not getting this look, or I'm not getting this opportunity, or oh, woe is me, when you do get those opportunities, that mindset is going to carry with you. And so you'll never be at peace. You'll never have rest if you allow the things from your past, these expectations, this oh, woe is me mindset, it will never go away. Because I have friends who are so successful to me, who we have calls and we catch up and it's like, bitch, I got the VMA, but I couldn't do this. And I'm like, bitch, I would love to be X, Y, you know what I mean? And then I'll put something on my notes on Instagram like, this was really hard. I hate the indie, you know. And then someone's like, oh my God, I would just love to do this. And girl, you on That's My Jam. You was on The Simpsons. You doing this, like, girl. And it's like puts things in perspective. But it also is to my original point that it's all about the mindset. It is all about
Yeah.
releasing what does not serve you, whether that is in love, whether that is in your career, whatever it is. You have to adapt that mindset of peace. It's not always easy. I'm gonna tell you, and that doesn't mean. And there's also this idea that having that kind of mindset means that, oh, you got the snake plan and you get the third eye, so you must have it all the hell together. Like, no, I'm not saying that I'm perfect,
Right.
but just the practice, the art of grounding yourself and trying to ground in gratitude as much as possible, because that shit will eat you alive for the rest of your life. And we have the
Mhm.
choice of the heaven or hell experience in this lifetime with what we choose to focus on. Man, I tell you, it will never stop and you will never be satisfied if you don't just enjoy this stuff and let go of things that don't serve you.
And that's what people have to do. Like let go and
Mm-hmm.
let God, and really just be appreciative of the moments that are meant for you in your life. I tell
Mm-hmm.
people this all the time, Jay. My thing is focus on what's going on in your car and in your lane. You can
Mm-hmm.
be inspired. You can want to do the exact same thing or even do similar things, but understand, just like you said, an independent artist or an artist's journey, right, has the same similar formula. But what
Mm-hmm.
may be received and what may not be received for each person is on its own different timing. So respect the fact that timing is of the essence, and that it in your divine timing will happen. I don't know why people always be like, let me rush this, let me do this, or oh, I'm just not satisfied. Well, be grateful and get to a place where you're satisfied. Because if you're bringing yourself down with negativity and be like, oh, but I'm just not doing it enough. I'm not saying don't be hard on yourself, y'all. That's not what we're saying at all. But we're saying find a way to be grateful and to embrace what you do have and have that appreciation.
Absolutely.
Because that's gold.
Yep, that is golden. That is true success. That is the flowers that you're seeking externally. That peace. That's the lesson in it. And it looks different for everybody. It really does.
Mm-hmm.
Because and we say divine timing and it'll happen, and maybe it won't though. And that's another fairy tale we've been fed.
Yeah.
I love this. I can't remember the name of this show that Killer Mike had on Netflix. It was so hilarious. And there was one episode where he went to schools, like elementary schools, and he was talking to the kids and saying, you know how they'll preach like you could be anything that you want to be. He's like, you can
Right.
be anything that you want to be. I'm on a level with y'all right now. The world is gonna stop that fantasy for you the moment you're an adult, and then you're gonna be looking crazy because you've been spoon fed this fantasy that everyone can be this. But it's what you put your intention, your time, your energy, your skill, opportunity, coincidence. It's there's
Yeah.
so many things. So no, it may not even be about divine time. Your assignment in this lifetime may just to be to inspire somebody else who does something, or
Yeah.
we not get those external flowers in this lifetime. So even more of a reason to fall in love with the journey and have peace in it.
Yeah. And falling in love with the journey for you, I know we were talking about just the aspect of being patient and
Mm-hmm.
loving what we do. I know even for me with this show, I'm surprised that this show was still going 11, 12 years, whatever how many years is going. I've never manifested this to
Oh,
be, yeah, Jay, we've been doing this for a minute.
that's beautiful.
Yeah. And then even with you with, have started your journey with YouTube and then to music and really like expanding on it. It's just like we've been patient with that process the
Yeah, I mean,
entire time.
look, it was before YouTube. I was
Yeah.
I was in girl group when I was 8. I've been it's been a long, 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 long journey. Yeah.
So for you, just the aspect of being patient, and then especially because we were talking about more or less like R&B music and just music as a whole, right? And just being able to break in any field. Because I think the biggest thing is everybody has to understand that things take time. It
Mhm.
does not happen when you want it to happen, but you've got to put in work so that it does happen.
Mhm.
And what I always love about you is like, because I know getting to this phase in your life was not easy. And there's other places that you even want to go.
Yeah.
But being in the place that you are today and just the reflection of it, how does that make you feel?
I mean, I'm extremely grateful for my journey, for the uniqueness of it. And like you were mentioning earlier, like about R&B being a particularly interesting genre to try and navigate and find your success in, especially compared to hip hop. And I think it really, and I know you asked like how I feel. I feel great.
Yeah.
But all of that came from really stepping outside of myself to really see what this industry is truly about. I mean, there's so many beautiful things in it. I love music. I can appreciate all different types of music. But what I'm seeing happening is a microwave effect of like these artists pop up and then they go away, and then they pop up and then they go away. And that sort of longevity that Beyonce, that Barbara Streisand, Diana Ross, and I'm not even gonna put Beyonce in that because I know she's got so many years of continuing. I'm just saying I know that she
Right.
is
Yeah.
her of continuing to be that sort of legacy artist that we've experienced multi-generationally, and that sort of success, that longevity of success, and not even just the impact of their success, but mainly the longevity of it is something that we don't really see too often because they focus on the moment. It's like, okay, we're going to look on TikTok and see what's trending, and then we're going to build something around it. But then it's like putting the cart before the horse. but I guess that's if you really just care about the integrity of things. If you, like I
Right.
said, coming out of it and looking at the industry for what it is, you understand that it's a game and it's a business. And it's not really a business of everyone has to be super amazing and passionate, and these things that we have as artists that we feel like, well, I'm good, why aren't I doing this, and I deserve this, and all that shit. It's like, no, that can all be true, but the business of music, the entertainment industry, is not built on that premise. That's not what it's about. And so the look of what it is to be successful is also a facade, because I've noticed a lot of artists who you'll look and say, oh, they have these looks and they're doing this, or they're signed with a major, but they don't know where their next check is coming from. And that's not to slight these artists, that's to slight the system, the streaming and all these things where we're not really getting what's due. But being able to carve out, and again, to go back to what you're saying about why I have peace in this, is because I'm thinking of things as a long-term game. I don't want to just find success off of one thing, and I'm doing this and we're doing this little dance for 5 months and then nothing, because, and there's no shade of that, because there is an art to that as well. And there are people who just only want that. But I desire the longevity of the legacy artist. I not necessarily, striving to be at the impact, because I don't know what my journey holds, but at least I can control the longevity of my career by recognizing what it is, what it's not, and what my role is to actually find the success that I'm looking for. Because what kind of success do you want? Do you want the perception of success? Oh, I got on my Gucci and I got on all this stuff, so people are like, oh my God, they must be. Or being able to make a living off of what I do and being practical about what I do and slowly chipping away at things and creating opportunities for myself where I can buy a home off of what I do, and I can pay my bills and become debt free and create generational wealth in more non-traditional ways, outside of having to make it big in order to achieve it. Like we were saying earlier, just being resourceful and understanding how to pivot, but actually figuring out what you want to achieve in your career. And for me, it is legacy, longevity, and stability. Those are so much more important to me than compromising on my integrity for the sake of a bag.
You just spoke on that. Just that last part hit.
For me,
yeah,
that is everyone's journey. I admire people who can disconnect in that way, if that's their, because like I said, that's a talent in of itself, to be an empty vessel who's open to whatever it is, to get that one bag and it's cool, I don't got to do this no more and I'm set. Great, but I love this and I don't want it to go away. I want to do this for me for as long as I can, in whatever way that looks like.
Yeah, because you've been so consistent with it, Jade, and like your passion for it, your drive, like you do this for real. This is not for play. This is not a joke. And I can understand those who, they want to do one thing, because people always tell me, and I'm gonna throw shade a little bit, Jade, because we friends, but they always be like, oh, David, why don't you just do this one thing? Why don't you just be,
Who are they? Are they a cartoon mouse?
They gotta be.
I'm talking about your voice form.
Oh, well, I'm about to break into my comedy and do my skits and everything else. So, I got different voices and everything, but they might be a mouse.
So what was this mouse telling you? Don't say it again.
Oh, they was like, oh, well, David, why don't you do this and just settle for one thing? I don't want to settle for one thing, because I got into this to impact. And then just like you said, even when you were saying like Beyonce's like that, it doesn't have to be in a Beyonce level. It can be in any which way that I wanted to be. My mom asked me a couple weeks ago, and it kind of annoyed me. Sorry, Mom, it did. And I'm going to talk about it here. It's the truth. She was saying like, what are some goals that you have? Like, is like measurement goals. So she mentioned like Grammys and all that stuff. I said, girl, let me tell you something. That kind of stuff don't mean a goddamn thing. And it definitely don't have a swag. Do I? Because guess what? I can win a Grammy, but then what does that do for generations to come? what does that do for my kids? What does that do for my best friend? What does that do for Jade, your son? What does that do for our family if it's that tangible thing that's like you
Yeah,
get it?
and not even just that. I mean, obviously that too. But with what we do, there's always this like weird standard of what success looks like, and it doesn't exist in a lot of other areas. Like if I told my parents I wanted to be an educator, they're not like, well, how high are you trying to go? You're trying to be the superintendent of the college of the, it's like, no, it's like, okay, cool. But for whatever reason, people look at creating art like this as such a gamble that if you're not getting Grammys, if you're not in certain publications or in certain conversations, that it's impossible for you to have had a successful run. And I don't know if I said this when we spoke before, but I love this conversation so much, and I'll bring it up just in case I didn't talk about it. But Dave Chappelle, there was an interview, I don't know when it was, but Google it after this, because it was so profound, like him talking about when he told his parents that he wanted to get into the entertainment industry. And I think he said one of his parents was an educator. I can't remember what his other parent did, but they were like, not everybody finds success in this. Like, why would you put yourself through this particular career path? And he said, if I can make a teacher's wage making comedy, then I've made it. Like, don't put
Yeah.
the this perception of success based on, because it is a form of entertainment and you see people, so you assume that if I don't see you, you're not successful. Like, no, instead of being a teacher, if I can literally make that exact same salary doing my couple shows every year, then what difference does it make? Like, don't,
True.
that's not mine to carry. Your perception of my passion is not mine to carry.
And that's the thing that people have to understand. We're not going to carry your perception. I have to carry mine, because in order for me to achieve what I am destined to achieve, what's in my assignment to do, that's what I got to do. I got to focus on me, not focus on you. So they be like, go ahead, Dave, focus on those one. I'd be like, no. I'd be like, I'm gonna do this show. I'm gonna do my panel. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this, because it's about impacting people. It's about inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I want to inspire in one way? The best of the best don't inspire in one way, so why should I?
Yeah.
So I'm like,
I'm all about the multi-hyphenate.
yeah.
Because I can definitely relate to that, even with the comedy or the music. Like, oh, what you gonna do? Are you an impersonator? Are you a comedian? Are you a singer? Are you this? Are you woke? Are you funny? Like, bitch, what is it? When you're creating things, and I mean, back in the day, the
Right.
Harry Belafontes and the Dorothy Dandridges and the Lola Falanas and the Sammy Davis Juniors and these incredible multi-hyphenates that existed and that we do still have today, and Jamie Foxx and Keke Palmer and Donald Glover, Will Smith. I mean, there's so many. You know, yeah, it's possible. It's possible.
It's
It's
all
possible. And we don't have to be one thing in order to be successful. And I think that I'm assuming that was your people's intention in telling you that you need to focus on one thing. Yes, that if you do too many things that you won't be able to like break in one. Was that the mind?
I guess that's what the mind is. Was that your mind? Y'all who's watching? Because that's not in my mind.
I
That
mean,
might have been their mind, but it's not in my mind.
it's not ours to carry.
Mm. What I like about this project too, you also have a collaboration with Kenyon Dixon, who's doing amazing in R&B. He just dropped his project as well too. I love the support factor when it comes to just music and fellowship, even like your sisterhood with Dondria, and just like just with everybody who's dope. How was it collaborate with Kenyon?
Let me tell you something. So, and I have to shout out Kenyon Dixon and Tank of Tank and the Bangers. They're my R&B features on the project. I'm so grateful for them. I love them both so much. Kenyon, that's my homie, man. This is our third collaboration together. And I had an EP out last year called Moon and Pisces that
Which
had
I
five.
love.
Thank you. So I believe five. I believe it was five or six. I can't remember off the top of my head. But the EP those songs have carried into Where Have I Been, and so that inherited the Kenyon Dixon collaboration as well. It's called Roller Coaster. But yeah, we've worked together 3 times. It's always so easy. We did That's My Jam together. It's a show on NBC, Jimmy
Wow.
Fallon, the game show. He did season 2 with me. We were the vocalists for the show, which was really cool. But yeah, that's my boy, and I'm so proud of him. I'm so inspired by him, the looks that he's been able to create for himself, his journey, period. Like, we've had conversations just coming from background singing, and even my other friend Duran, who's incredible, Duran Bernard, he sang background as well. And like I sat down and had conversations with both of them about background singing versus, figuring out your individual artistry. And it was so interesting to hear both of their perspectives in such a different way. Kenyon and myself feeling like, okay, we've done the background thing for this long. Like, now it's time to do this, because our fears are not fears, but what we're trying to manifest is to be looked at in a certain way and to be received as, no, this is who I am. I'm an artist. No, I don't want you to put me in this box. And I'm sure you can relate to that as well, like doing multiple things or navigating the industry from different angles. How people meet you is how they treat you sometimes. And that's an unfortunate thing. So that was our thought in transitioning, because Kenyon came from singing background from just with Justin Timberlake, and now him saying, no, I've reached, I'm done with that part of my journey, to now writing songs for Justin Timberlake. And I believe one of the records on his album was co-written by Justin Timberlake. And so being able to transform the perception,
Right.
because you've said, no longer will you put me in this particular box. And then the beauty of Duran is to say, like, no, all of this is me, baby. Like, Erica is mother, and like, I can do this, and I am authentically me throughout it all. So it is all a part of something that I want to do, and being like, oh, crazy. That's a beautiful perspective too. I never thought of that. But yeah, I've had incredible conversations with my peers and Kenyon specifically, and it's always so easy when it comes to collaborating with him. That's an anxiety of mine that I'm working through. Amen. When it comes
That
to,
collaboration is anxiety for you?
oh, the asking of the collaborations,
Really?
oh, absolutely. And that's another thing that I am learning to let go of, because I had a whole folder of screenshots of people ghosting me or leaving me on red, and be like, one day I'm going to show these people. And I literally have a folder on my phone that said, y'all slept on me. And it's so low vibrational. I'm just being honest. Like, I
Yeah.
haven't thought about it in a while, but I knew at one point, I'm like, I have to delete this shit, because it's time to release it. Like, that's
Yeah.
the kind of motivation I need or desire. But like I said, we're not perfect. And I've been through moments where I just want to sort of, woe is me, and those sort of things help fuel that season in my life. And but yeah, you got to let go of it. But yes, for me, I have definitely developed post-traumatic stress from that anxiety of like, are they gonna ignore me now? Because it had been bad. There have been people
Yeah.
who I thought, like, we work, worked around each other before, follow each other, support each other, comment. And then when you ask for that relationship or that connection to go to another level, it's like the dynamic changes. And of course, these people can be dealing with their own anxieties of like, I don't know how to say no, or I literally can't right now, or I really just don't fucking like your music, which is also fine too.
Sure.
But you know, yeah, it had caused a bit of anxiety for me to do, which is why I'm so grateful about Where Have I Been, because I was very ambitious about these particular collaborations that I didn't want to say, I don't know if it'll happen, but I'm like, do I think Tabitha Brown, from her busy, amazing Emmy, just killing it life, like, and of course, we're all humans and we're all
Brilliant.
creatives, and we're all equal in that sense of a human experience, but we get in our heads, and so I had to like hype myself up to ask. And every single person that was on my list, Tony, Gail, the whole lot of them, they all graciously said yes to do it. And it gave me like, you know what, whoever didn't say yes, or whoever had whatever was going on that you don't know about, because you don't know what's going on in people's lives, or you don't know what their experiences are. Girl, if you don't let it go and realize what it's meant to be, it's gonna be, and if it's not, gotta keep it moving. But saying all that to say, with Kenyon, there has never been any anxiety because it's always so easy. It's always like I did a song on his project, a song called Stay Down. He did Roller Coaster for me, and then we did a Christmas song together last year called Here for Christmas.
And
So
that was
yeah.
beautiful. Like, come on, Christmas.
A little Christmas stuff. I want to put out something for Christmas this year too. So maybe by the yeah, that's the goal.
I'm excited. I feel like Christmas music is really good. I did a Christmas project last year, and I was like, we're doing the Christmas Eve thing. All right, this is a lot, but it was cool. It was cute. If anybody wants to listen, Unapologetic Christmas Volume 1. I think that's what it's called. I put out so much music, I don't even know what it's called. It's all unapologetic. But I love the aspect that you just talked about background singing, because that's even what I was going to even ask you about. So even when you made that transition for yourself and just realizing, you know what, this is cool and all. I've been on the stage with this one and this one, and those ones have been Beyonce, Gaga, there's so many that you've been on stage with. And then coming to Atlanta, then to write. And then you're like, you know what? That might be cool though. But we got to get up in here and write and produce for ourselves. That's what you and your husband did.
Yeah. I'm not going to say gave up on my artist journey, but I pivoted. That's the theme. Right before I met him, as I mentioned earlier, I was in a girl group from the time I was like 8 years old until I was about 18 or 19 years old. And it was just a completely different industry at that time. There was no social media. Things were a little more traditional as far as you go and you get a major deal and this is what you do. And so the process to get there was way different than what it is now. And I'm very much someone who likes to be in control of my situation. And I didn't really realize why that. Okay, saying all that to say, growing up doing the girl group and things being a little different than they are now, and there not being that outlet to have non-traditional ways to reach people, I assumed that path was the only way to finding success in the industry, was that you had to get signed to a major and you had to kind of be told what songs to sing, and you had to be told, like, I was a kid and I didn't really know anything other than that. So, with all respect to the people involved, of course, I'm grateful for so many parts of that. I learned how to record in the studio like nobody's business, like, 8 years old in the booth doing this. Like, it gave me so much important foundational things for my art. But I was very confused because I'm like, oh, now that I'm free from this and I can do whatever, I don't think I want to do it anymore because I don't like how that feels. I don't like being told at 12 that I need to lose weight. I don't like being told the next out.
Hearing stories about that.
Oh, there was a lot, and there was a lot of things, and not from the people who were necessarily involved, just people who thought that was an okay. For some reason, being in the music industry ages you to the people who are in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they expect you to have a thicker skin or to be okay with that sort of narrative, even if you're 12 years old. It's like, oh, well, you're in this industry, so you understand, like dance moms, all that stuff. Every single part of being a part of it, you understand that it comes with a level of critique and but the critique that you're giving a kid who's also navigating coming of age and self-esteem, and then all the things that I mentioned in this project of not having affirmations. So if you're telling me that I need to lose this weight at 12 years old to be lovable and to be successful, and there's a lot of post-traumatic stress around that shit too. But when I finally got of age and I was no longer a part of that situation, I was like, okay, I don't like that. I want to be able to eat what I want and just be what I want without being under a microscope, or without having to go through this whole song and dance and rat race of chasing this like big shiny thing. I'm like, I'll just write for other people, and so when I met Devin, I was at that point of I'm good on the artist thing. but this was in the time when social media was like slowly coming. And you mentioned YouTube. I did YouTube in college, put up some covers without any expectations, and ended up getting a background gig with Tyler Perry, um, like a couple years before I met Devin, but even still playing a back seat and getting opportunities where I was just sort of shrinking myself a little bit. But when I met him and we were writing, and we were in a writing session, it was a writing camp actually. And he's, we're creating the song and I'm recording the song. And he's like, why aren't you an artist? Like, what's going on? And he just sort of re-sparked that. And then we just looked at the landscape of the industry, and I noticed how much it had changed and how much there was an ability for you to create whatever it is that you want. You don't have to be signed to a major. My intention was always to be independent, as long as there was not an opportunity that looked like an independent situation where I could own my masters. And, if it comes, great. But
Right.
as far as I know, independent is the only path for that particular level of control and ownership. And that was always the intention from day one. I'm like, cool, I'm gonna do this with you, bruh. But I just, like you said, patience, slow, steady, longevity, like for the love, because I don't got time to fit into nobody's version of me that they want from me. If we're gonna do this, it has to be completely authentic. And yeah.
And I love the fact that you and Devin have been able to like really push your brand straight forward and be like, you know what, this is what we're going to do. And this is how we're going to move with intention. And this is, you know what, let's try this. Let's do this. And just be patient with the process, because there's a lot of times where we see husband and wife was work together and everything else, but the dynamic is just not patient. It's just like, we got to be fast. It's like, no, let's be patient and let's really be organic. Not even organic, sorry. Let's be authentic to this more than anything.
And organic. I mean, that fits too. Just
Yeah.
the way that it unfolds, like just being organic and authentic in the process, for sure.
Yeah. And I love the fact that y'all collab with the music. Tell us about the sessions that y'all be having. That's what I want to know about these sessions.
Yeah, Devin, I guess this is my chance to dish about Devin.
Right. It is.
Been together for 12 years. We're about to celebrate our 8th wedding anniversary in December.
Congratulations.
Yeah, you. No, I'm so proud of us. And I tell him this. We were telling our son this because he's a young teenager who's starting to, the girls and this, that, and all this conversations.
Right.
And I'm like, look, the things that we're telling you are they're not your grandma's. I'm telling you this. Us millennials, we have a completely different perspective
For
on
sure.
transparent and really having those conversations that the boomers didn't necessarily have with us about love. I'm like, but so it's not coming from a judgmental place or sweep things under the rug place. Look, me and Devin, we are experts at this because we have had to do, and we were saying it's like we've been together probably double the time that we've actually been together, sort of like dog years, because we're working together and we have a marriage together. So we understand that if one card falls from that, there's so much to lose in it. It's like we have multiple things that we're building on. And so, yeah, I'm proud of us for putting in the work and the time and the energy to have a beautiful balance of our career and of our union and our love and support of each other. So it's always a fun time. Like, Devin is literally a mirror for me. He is my life partner. You ain't gonna see no bullshit. We are here for life.
Amen.
Amen. Because we create our life, and I say so, and we say so. But yeah, it's like being in a room with myself, a smarter, more organized version of myself. Because Devin definitely balances me. I am so much air. I got my Gemini necklace on because I'm very much air sign. I'm also have a lot of water in my chart, and Devin is that fire and that earth that keeps me grounded, but that keeps me, like, okay, we got to do this, and I mean, having him in my life, we've been able to be that much more powerful and successful together because we balance each other out in that way. And so Yeah, creating with him feels like I'm just working with a more organized, awesome version of me. Um, so I feel free to just create and exist and be when I'm working with him. It's a good time. I'm spoiled. I don't know how I could work with too many other people in that capacity because I think we're both so spoiled by our creative process and sort of the, fluidity of how we are able to create together.
Yeah. And it's so good to have that fluidity in just partnership and collaboration, because a lot of times people they don't have that at all, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It just be completely different. So I love this. I love y'all Black love because it's so inspiring. Y'all are like my favorite couple.
Yes.
One of them for sure.
Thank you. No, I'm proud of us. I am. We've definitely been putting in the work and just trying to break curses, have conversations, and really figure out forever, like figure that shit out for real.
Right. And what advice do you have for young Black singles or just couples that are, really trying to like work through their issues or trying to find love?
Hmm. Ooh, that's a really great question. I guess grace. Um, our perceptions of love and relationship and partnership, especially for our generation, like we were mentioning, the boomers didn't necessarily spit the game to us like that,
It was
about
a whole
relationships.
different game. Okay.
Yeah, there was so much like emphasis on getting married and having these babies and doing all these things without really explaining to us, well, why? Like what are we here to do, or how do we maintain this thing? It's a lot different, from generations prior with but I that's not even the question. That's neither here nor there. um for
That's
people,
what they need to hear though.
no, they need to
Boomers,
understand.
y'all still around. Y'all can hear us from the front to the back and the side to side.
Yeah, you need to kind of let go of your fairy tale versions of what partnership and intimacy looks like, and understand what it really takes to build something sturdy for forever. And that's why I said grace has to be given, because we're humans trying to navigate love in a way that was kind of pre-packaged for us, like how it's supposed to look, and if it doesn't look like this, then we failed. It's giving that grace if the foundation is there of love. Of course, don't be disrespected, and know what you want, and know what you're trying to manifest, which is another thing that I'm really proud of with our generation, because a lot of my friends are like, girl, you already got a 15-year-old, you ain't even 40 yet, y'all about to be empty nesters before 40, and you're married. And it's like, and I'm like, yes, I'm grateful for my journey, but there is a beautiful thing about the fact that this generation has waited a little longer, or might feel like they're waiting a little longer, because we're doing the work, we're unlearning so much. And I think that now we're able to go into these relationships with that much more intention, and to be able to actually bring back true partnership that isn't just built out of obligation. Because, honey, some of our grandparents were only together because divorce wasn't an option, not because they wanted to
Mhm.
be together, but because society wouldn't allow it. My grandmother couldn't write a check without my grandfather. So I'm sure there are things that creates resentments, when it's like, I might want to leave, or I might want to work on it, but there's no incentive to, if I have no choice but to be in this anyway. And so our generation of waiting a little longer helps to really build what it is that we want, and to create the longevity, not out of convenience, but out of actually doing the work. And that's what I advocate for, being very realistic, giving grace. And we are not our grandmother's love story.
We aren't. And not
Mm-hmm.
even our own parents' love stories as well,
Yes, not
too.
our parents either.
Yeah.
Nope.
We literally have to do what's best for us
Mm-hmm.
and figure that out and learn. Don't just be like, oh, I need to stay in a situation because my grandparents did. No, 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 no. If you find yourself unhappy, do what's best for you. And this is in all aspects of life. We ain't just talking about like relationships, even though we were just talking about that, Jade. Like, they got to understand, like, you have to be happy, and you have to really, going back to affirm, you have to affirm and bring that into your life.
No, you do. But you also have to understand that you're not always going to be happy though.
That part too. And that's the reality. There's some
Yeah.
people have to understand that in relationships and even with self, it don't work that way.
Yeah. Happiness by definition isn't even something that's forever. Like joy, like that ability to, like we were saying, have the peace and all of it, it can exist, but happiness is situational. That is definitely not going. So yeah, if you depending on your happy barometer of whether or not you're gonna stay with someone, you're gonna be with somebody every other day. Because another thing I've learned in this 12 years is that you're going to go through it with someone, because we're all here to learn a lesson. We're all here to learn a lesson. And if you, again, I'm not saying if you're getting hurt or if there's something like seriously going on, or you're not happy to the point where it is affecting you, where you are losing yourself to the point where, or whatever those situations might be. Of course, there's exceptions to the rule. But if you're in a good partnership and you've manifested this partnership and you've called this into your life and you had intention going into it, then understand that the lessons are going to come. And if you fight or flight, which I am so guilty of, I definitely, in all situations, like I was even mentioning with collaboration, if someone don't want to collab, I want to hide in the corner and hold on to it. And, but yeah, just understanding that you're going to go through it with someone and that lesson is going to come up. So if you do not master it in that relationship, it's going to come up again in another form and stronger, because it's like, listen to what I am saying. You have to learn this thing. So
Yeah.
a lot of it is mirror work. A lot of it is shadow work. A lot of it is inner child. I mean, all of it. And to have someone, the beauty of partnership, to have someone who is a mirror back to you, who's going to call you out and say, hey, I know who you are at your best. I know this ain't you. If you do that with grace, whew, partnership can be such a beautiful thing. But all those things just have to exist, man. You got to be realistic. You got to give grace, and you have to understand that it is a lesson. It
And,
is.
and it's going to keep coming up if you don't learn your lesson and if you don't do the self work, which is another thing I need for people to understand. Please do your self work. Do that homework at all times, because baby, guess what? It don't stop.
We are constantly students, and that, look, even with our career paths, like it never, the lessons never stop, like the learning never stops. That's why everything can't be so destination based, whether it's love, like, oh, I got to get married, because then once you're there, that's the hard part, or I got to get a deal. Once you're there, that's the hard part. Like, stop being so destination focused, and recognize that this entire lifetime, however long we are blessed to get on this planet, is for us to just learn whatever these lessons are. And yeah, Ashe.
I love that tattoo right there.
Oh, thank you. Me and Devin. This is actually Devin's voice.
Oh wow.
We went in the studio and we recorded messages to each other, and then he has one of my voice on his forearm. Yeah.
So what does each message for the both of you say?
Oh, God, that was a long time ago. I that's a
Do you
damn
still have the recording of it?
That's a really good question. I don't know. I'm gonna write that down because I will forget. I'm gonna ask him.
That's so cool, though. I've never seen that kind of tattoo with a couple. That's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I wanted to remember to ask.
Oh yeah, I feel you. I be having to do that with my phones all the time. I'd be like, David, text yourself this.
Yeah, I'll forget. But yeah, no, it's I think I said something about love and music. I really don't even remember. That's a damn shame. I feel like it's just been there so long. And when we first got it, I wanted to talk about it all the time and everybody would ask, but I very rarely get asked about it. So I wasn't prepared. I'm gonna have to ask them.
Well, I'm glad I saw. I don't think because the last time we did audio, but I don't think I ever have noticed the tattoo at all.
Oh yeah, I'm tatted up. I got a lot of tattoos.
I noticed the other ones, but I've never noticed that one.
There it is. Oh, dang, how can I? There it is.
Right there.
My man's voice. Thank you to my man.
Ooh, they trying to get me to get tattoos, and I'm like, I'm doing plenty fine with all this here.
Oh, those are cute. How did you sleep? Did you get them all at once?
No.
Oh,
so it was this one first, because you know how they used to be like, oh, just one, the bottom piercing, first piercing for the guy kind of thing. But then I was like, but everybody been complimented it since I've moved to LA. So I'm gonna give them a few more, you know, give them a little sprinkle. No tattoos, y'all. I don't think it's ever gonna happen.
Really?
I
Oh, I'm not
want
even.
them.
I mean, if it's not for you, don't force yourself to do stuff that other people are.
Mm-mm. I feel like I want it, but I just feel like putting that time to actually stop doing it. Cause you know, being so career driven and just being driven to yourself, and just that self-dedication, most importantly, what you make time for, that's not like what you want to make time for, it's just not in the cards. So
Mhm.
we'll see.
Understood. That's how you feel right now. Go
I
with
might
it.
get it later though, y'all.
You
Since
might.
because they keep inquiring. Just like
Mhm.
this podcast they keep inquiring about. It's coming soon for them. What are some things, speaking of which, what are some things that people always ask you to do, but you have not done it yet, or you might be thinking about it in the cards?
Um, variety show. Well, people have asked me to audition for SNL so much, and I have done that already, y'all. So please stop asking. um,
How was the audition process for that?
this was actually during COVID. This was so it was a unique process, but I did make it far. I made it to what they would consider test week. It was down to the final few. So it and it definitely affirmed me
Oh,
to
now.
continue, creating comedic content, because I just never really, I mean, of course I knew that there's other spaces to grow in it, but my emphasis wasn't all the way there at the time. And then it shifted, like, you know what, this is affirming. I really can do this, and I'm good at it, and I want to hone in on it. So yeah, it opened up a whole world of possibilities for me through that audition. So I'm so grateful for it. But yes, a variety show, that's something that I've always wanted to do, that a lot of people say, like, oh, you got to do a variety show, that makes sense, so you can do the comedy, you can do this. But I am working on a one woman show that I'm really excited about. So next year I really want to do something out of the box, and just really leaning into storytelling, and leaning into my comedy, and leaning into being a multi hyphenate, and just giving a more non-traditional concert experience.
Oh, you know that's gonna sell. You know that's gonna sell as soon as you do the announcement.
Oh, I received that.
Amen. Of course. Listen, it's gonna happen. I can't wait.
Thank you.
So do you think we'll get that plus just a tour, or you'll kind of like mix that with just a
My intention is to mix it together, because yeah, like I mentioned earlier, like I have so many ideas that are so much more than music. And I think, this is the third album, and I'm not saying I'm about to be done making music. I will always make it, but I really want to see what's next. And Where Have I Been, this album is literally the catalyst. It's the introduction to this expansion of the things that I intend to do. So moving forward, I always want to tell stories. I always want to tap into all parts of myself. So yeah, I don't think you'll ever get, just music anymore.
and we love that. And you're expanded even on the merch too. So I know we getting more merch
Oh
coming
yeah,
so soon.
merch will continue to come.
I need to buy mine. I'm gonna go to the website and go when we done.
Get your rising sun and moon shirt.
You should do some candles too. I'm just saying.
I love me some candles, but I don't know. Unless someone else is making them, I can't add another thing.
Have somebody make them. You ain't gotta make them. But I
Maybe.
think if you add a candle, girl, I'm a candle lover too.
Oh yeah, I mean I have one burning right now. I love me some candles. I love me some Palo Santo. I just love fire. I
Palo
just
Santo is like the freaking fracking best.
It is.
I love it. Well, Jay, this was amazing. You know, I love chatting with you and love supporting what you're doing. I'm so proud of you. Congratulations on this third album. I need the people to download and stream it, buy the
You're
merch, look out for the shows coming 2024, and just beyond. Because listen, you doing it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. No, I appreciate you.
Absolutely. So I know I probably asked you this question the last time, but I'm gonna ask you again for an updated answer.
Okay.
Aside from being an artist, a mother, or in just a compass of all those things, right, Jade? What exemplifies you?
What exemplifies me? I would say unlimited. Yeah, unlimited. I don't ever want to I can compartmentalize myself, but I don't ever want to cap myself off to one thing. I think that I am limitless. I'm limitless. And I know that. And I'm ready to really tap into my power and see what I can do when I'm not in my own way. As a matter of fact, I need to delete that little stupid ass folder that I forgot about until this moment because it's so dumb. It really is. It's
I was thinking about that as you said it, low key.
yeah. That's me getting in my own way. That's me feeling away. Like, nah, it doesn't serve me. We don't know what that's about. Let it go. Let it go.
You're not gonna finish it after you just did the let it go.
Let it go.
But you know what though, Jade? I'm gonna tell you this. Those collaborations and them people, and even I've told myself this, right? They gonna spin the block.
Yeah.
They gonna come back.
When the time is right. When the time
is right.
It has to be in alignment. And I think sometimes I was trying to do things that didn't feel organic as well. And I can look back and recognize that maybe that wasn't the way to do it. And some people need to meet you and fill you out. And, you know, just because somebody follows you and supports you in one way doesn't mean that that's what they have time or energy for. Like, to not take it personally.
Yeah.
And to write, like you said, spin the block if it's meant to be. They'll come back when it actually makes sense for all parties involved.
Right. And those who will reach out for where it does make sense too.
Exactly.
Because I tell myself that I'd be like, David, I just need you to be patient. Well,
Yeah.
I don't have it. Even with this show, I don't even be stressing this. There's so many people who I want on this damn season. I ain't seen them. I ain't heard them.
Some incredible people though, and that's the thing. That's the focus. You've had Coco Jones, you had Eric, you did Alex Vaughn, right? Like you've done you had some incredible interviews. So
thank you.
When the time is right, the other people will come. But that's a beautiful success story for sure.
Exactly. So we just have to be accepting of that. And that's the key, folks. Be accepting of what you have and understand that what's not shall come. And or it ain't meant to be. We got to move it to the side. You had me cracking up on the reels and TikTok videos with the different signs.
Oh Lord, yeah.
I was kind of mad you didn't pick my zodiac sign for a couple things, Taurus.
Oh, I did. I picked y'all for funny.
We are funny. But there was one that you should have picked us for. What was the other one?
Communication, absolutely. In a conversation, no. I mean,
what you mean?
Gemini, we are the communicators of the zodiac. So if I had to pick between those two, now that's not to say that you can't have good conversations with the Taurus. I'm saying if you had to pick one, Gemini, we are the sign of communication. Like
y'all be stopping communication. Y'all don't respond. Not you personally, but there's some other Geminis that I know that don't be responding. I'll be like, and I'm not gonna throw them under the bus, but off record, I'm gonna say something that's even close to that. So let me shut up now.
Look, I'm just saying, as far as when the conversation is going, we are a very, I mean, you see, I done rambled on and on and on and on and on and on. We can talk anybody under the table, honey. So
I think we need to do a podcast together, something. some kind of collaboration.
The Taurus Gemini connection.
Oh,
you better stop.
Don't get me to manifesting. But Jade, you know what? Speaking of manifestation, I have to say, I want you to check out my friends. I don't know if you've already checked them out, but you have to check out Kristen T.
Oh, I'm not tapped in. Let me know.
Affirmation music. I will literally text it to you, DM it to you, gift it to you on the iTunes. When I tell you, incredible. I mean, and they're incredible producers aside from that as well. They just stepped into their artistry. When I tell you this affirmation music is like great, I love them down. They actually produced my song Love Me Wrong that everybody keeps asking about. So just for y'all know, that's who produced it. Incredible. Incredible.
Well, I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yes, you do. You definitely do. So Jade, let everybody know where they can follow you, because some people they still late. And I don't know how many times I got to tell them to follow you.
I
But
mean,
then you
look,
do it, kneel.
there are so many people on this planet. I do not take that personally either. When I tell you I was just having this conversation with somebody yesterday. Like they sent me someone who was super like millions and millions of followers, and I had never heard of them. And it's like
It's
there's
possible.
so many people. So look, now that y'all here, whoever is here, you can find me at Jade Novah, JadeNovah, everywhere, really, at Jade Novah.
Period. And how did you come up with your stage name too? I don't think I've ever asked you that question.
Well, Jade the Stone, I've always loved it. It's my favorite. I'm actually wearing it right now. Just the softness, the femininity of it is such a beautiful name, and I love what it evokes when I hear it. When I see Jade, the stone Jade. I love the feeling that I felt, and it's of the earth, the stones. It's grounded, and then Nova is an exploding star, and I'm very obsessed with the cosmos. I talk about that on Where Have I Been, like obviously my horoscope and what's your sign, all of that. I've been that way since I was a little kid, like flipping to the back of the teen magazines to see what my horoscope was.
I
And so,
remember those days. Why don't they do that anymore?
I mean, because now we got the apps for it. But Nova comes from that, from my more cosmic side. So there's the grounding of the jade, and then there's the cosmic force of the nova, the supernova. And yeah, that's where it came together. Just those two worlds colliding in all that I am.
I know that's right. You had me thinking about Xenon. Zoom, zoom, zoom.
My boom, 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 my super. Ooh, maybe we could sample that and make like a little pop out of it.
I can hear it in my head.